Hypnotism has come a long way since pocket watches. Now look into Dr. Mysterio's mesmerific hypno wheel.
Could it be that the majority of the entire world is hypnotized? Is such a thing even possible? The shocking answer is yes. It's a phenomenon called mass formation psychosis. It's rooted in decades and decades of philosophical studies, and for the most part, it's pure evil. But today, we're going to turn evil into good. We're going to flip the light switches on, and you're going to end up with a 4-letter tool that will serve you so well when it comes down to creating really powerful sales copy. It's 4 letters you've never heard of because it's brand freaking new, but it is based in the research on mass hypnosis. And I'm going to reveal that today and show you how you can ethically hypnotize someone who wants what you want them to have. In other words, someone who's already in line with what you're talking about, someone who already wants to succeed in ways that you want to help them succeed. In other words, you're not doing anything evil, you're doing something good, and at the same time, you're dehypnotizing people from bad stuff. This is good, this is deep, buckle in. I'm John Benson, this is Sales Copy Secrets. Welcome back to my video on mass hypnosis, how to turn evil into good and sell like crazy. Now, if you are a copywriter looking for copywriting tips, copywriting tactics, copywriting techniques, or if you're a marketer just looking to sell more stuff, this is for you. And I gotta warn you, this is some controversial, heavy-duty shizzle today. We're not wading in the shallow end of the pool today. We're going to go into some pretty deep stuff, and it does have a tinge of controversy behind it. Some might even say it's a conspiracy theory. But I assure you, it is not. There's some dark stuff, and we're going to go into some light stuff toward the end. But I think it's very important, not just for copywriting, but really for the state of the world right now. So I'm doing this video for 3 reasons. First, I want to teach you a 4-letter formula. It's not AIDA. We covered that in a couple weeks ago. But no, this is not AIDA. This is a formula that you can remember, easily use to ethically hypnotize your audience inside of a copywriting perspective. In other words, you're not going to bark like a dog and make them do stuff they don't want to do.
And as soon as they saw me, they came bounding over.
It's just a way to induce the subconscious mind into a state that's more receptive so that you can sell more stuff. Let's just hope that you're selling good stuff. That's reason number 1. The second is to really just break some news to you in case you don't know it. You're already using hypnosis to sell people and even communicate with people. You just may not realize it. This is not the carnival bark like a dog. Like I said, this is real hypnosis, and we use it all the time, often without realizing. But I want to give you a tool that you can use so that you can intentionally do it. And what I mean by intention is the fact that intention, to me, is the cornerstone of ethics. It's not the stuff that paves the road to hell, as some people say, as the old saying says. It is actually the road out of hell. And I'm going to explain what I mean by this and give my thoughts on intention inside this video. So that is reason number 2 why I am making this for you. And before I get to reason number 3, let me give you an example of what I mean by intention being a good thing and something that can lead you out of a bad thing. Let's say that you have a bow and arrow and you are set up to practice using a target, right? And your intention is simply to target practice, to get better at shooting the bow and arrow so that you can be an archer, let's say. And let's say that you draw back the bow, the arrow, boom, you let it go. And before you let it go, you don't see this, but something runs in front of the target and you accidentally strike that something. Now that's a tragedy for sure, and anyone would say that, but did you intend to strike the target? Well, of course not. You were just intending to target practice against a inanimate object, a target. Yet the road to hell folks will say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's what you intended to do, but look what you did. You're evil and you're wrong. No, I disagree. Your intention was to do something completely benign, neither good nor bad. Now, let's take this in another way. What if your intention was really to practice on a target so that you could go out and hurt people? Then your intentions would be very evil and very wrong, even if you never went out and harmed anyone. You see the difference? Now, the same goes for hypnosis. Basically, you're wanting to move someone out of where they are to where you know they want to be. They've already agreed to the fact that they want to be somewhere. Let's use weight loss as our example, as I often do. Let's say you're talking to an audience and you know they want to lose weight, so you're trying to move them from a state of maybe obesity or just being overweight into a state of being leaner. You already know they want that, so that's a good thing. So you're going to leverage the power of their subconscious mind, which is really the part of the mind that makes all the decisions, whether we like it or not. And you're going to do that using some hypnotic patterns, not hypnosis like you're trying to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do or perform some kind of circus act. So that is a good thing. But let's say it's that you're trying to sell something you know doesn't work, like a snake oil pill or some diet that you know would never work in a million years. Then guess what? It's not the hypnosis that's the problem. It's language itself for you. And I don't think any one of us would believe that language or words were inherently unethical. Yet that is the logical conclusion of intentions being, the stuff that paves the road to hell. Not true. In fact, I'm going to show you how to set a really good intention inside this video, so keep watching. So by the way, my intention for this video is to help you learn how to use this for good, to learn how to pull people out of a state of mass hypnosis, as a matter of fact. Yes, you can use this to do exactly the opposite, to actually get people out of this state and into a state of clear thinking. Pretty cool. And that is my third reason for making this video. I want to show you a really cool way to get people out of thinking, well, shall we say, confused, almost as if they're in a zombie-like state. And maybe you've talked to people recently where you felt like, man, are we watching the same film? Are we on the same plane of reality here? Well, this is a way to kind of check to see which one of you are and to pull them out, or maybe for them to pull you out. Let's check it out. Now, first I have to define some terms, especially these kind of terms. Mass formation psychosis. Now, where did that term come from? Well, the study of mass hypnosis has been going on for decades. And it started in, at least in the world of psychology, as far as I'm aware, in looking at what went on with 1930s Germany. Okay, what went on that would cause an otherwise civilized, intelligent group of people to go completely batshit insane. I think the whole world would agree that at least 10% of the Germans who became the N-word, and I don't want to, not that N-word, the other N-word that I don't want to mention on YouTube, N's and Z's, they became that, and they ended up doing a whole lot of damage to a whole lot of people and obviously causing a whole lot of World War II. So we don't want that. But what happened? Well, mass formation psychosis, as one psychologist is calling it, is some of the most, I think the most, apt explanation for what happened. Now, a guy named Dr. Matthias Gesmet, he is a Flemish psychologist, coined the term mass formation psychosis, but it's basically the same thing as mass hypnosis. So let's look at the strict definition of what we're talking about. Mass hypnosis is based on the idea that any collection of people eventually form essentially a unique mind of their own. And within that mind, they form a collective unconsciousness. Now, that's kind of trippy, but we see this in societies over as far back as history goes. So this collective unconsciousness, which is very open to, shall we say, suggestion, especially by world leaders, that's been going on for as long as history's been going on. Germany is one of the most apt examples of that. There's stuff going on maybe today that people would say that's going on right now. I'll let you decide. However, let me ask you this. Have you ever read 1984 by George Orwell? If you have, great. If you haven't, no big deal. I'm going to explain one of the central points of the novel. There's these continents. So it's basically three continents or countries rather discussed in this futuristic look of the world, which happened in 1984. Granted, we're past that, but this was written in the 1950s. So bear that in mind. And in these three countries, two of them are constantly battling with each other. There's Eurasia and East Asia. And in the novel, it goes back and forth, back and forth. One's attacking the other one gets attacked by the other. But there's these nebulous countries. No one really even sees much. They're just hearing what the Ministry of Truth is telling them. So these countries are used to instill fear in the public. There's this constant feeling of anxiety and uneasiness and not knowing what's coming next from these two mystical, kind of weird countries that people used to believe existed, and now they're not sure if they even exist anymore. The people are confused, and because of that confusion, they can be led easily into a state of mass hypnosis. So what are the four critical elements of mass hypnosis? What components have to be there for that to even happen in a society? Well, let's take a look at them right now. The first is a lack of social bond or connection. Now, if you look around today, you can see how many of us are walking around like zombies on cell phones, right? So we're kind of atomized. We're separated from each other in so many different ways. We may be in groups like Facebook groups or, whatever groups, but we're nowhere near as connected as we have been in the past. And this has gone on and off throughout history for different ways. People don't need technology to be disconnected, but technology makes it a lot easier. So definitely number one is true today, and it was not true in 1930s Germany as well. So number two is a state of confusion, not knowing what to expect or not having things make any sense. So humans thrive in states of stability punctuated by moments of spontaneity. We need spontaneity to keep things fresh and alive, but we pretty much want to know what's coming next as much as humanly possible. Granted, that's not really going to be the case, but we want to have a feeling of certainty. But when you have endless months, even years of complete uncertainty, coupled with contradictions in the public narrative, which is exactly what you had in 1930s Germany. You would see one thing and the state would say another. The state would do one thing, then they would claim the exact opposite. In 1984, you had statements made by the Ministry of Truth, such as freedom is slavery and war is peace. Now, these are two of the most famous contradictory statements that were made to make the people completely confused, as if it made any sense. That is the state of psychological state or conditional state that is necessary for mass hypnosis to exist as well. Next, there's a condition called free-floating anxiety. And this is basically like a low-level anxiety. It's like a panic attack on a very low level, where you feel anxious or afraid for the tomorrow, for no reason, or for the present moment for no reason. You just can't put your finger on why you feel anxious and itchy and like there's something just way out of kilter, and you cannot pinpoint why, but it is a pretty much consistent state, not just with you, but with those around you. And you see this manifest in all sorts of different ways. Crime rates go up, depression obviously goes up, drug use goes up, and we see all of that today, and we saw all of it again in 1930s Germany. And I do need to say, I'm not saying that today in 1930s Germany are paralleled in any other way other than there's a possibility of mass hypnosis going on in both. Not that the outcomes would be the same. The outcomes in 1930s Germany hopefully we'll avoid for the rest of time. And finally, there's a kind of nebulous quality, and it's called free-floating discontent. Now, what the hell is that? Well, it's a fancy way of saying nihilism. Now, nihilism is the philosophy that nothing matters and nothing truly exists, so therefore nothing is actually real and nothing matters. So you see this in all sorts of very evil acts in our modern times for sure. You'll hear these evil people say, nothing mattered, my life was meaningless, it's all hopeless anyway. Well, that is that psychological state of complete and utter discontent. So when you put all four of these elements together, you have the perfect formula for mass hypnosis. And this could be with 10 people or 10 million people. It doesn't matter. All it requires is one primary character to come in and exert influence. And they can be telling a lie, they can be telling the truth. It doesn't matter. Whatever they say is going to be accepted and rarely questioned. On top of that, the mass consciousness of the people will start forming the opinion that this person or persons should never even be contradicted, should never even be debated. They are, regardless of their answers, right or wrong, always considered right. In fact, to question them is an act of treason, or an act of believing a conspiracy theory, or an act of evil. This is how crazy mass psychosis can be. Now, perhaps all this sounds oddly familiar. I'll let you decide on that. Certainly historically familiar. And you may be asking yourself, what the hell does this have to do with copywriting, John? What the hell does this have to do with persuasion? Well, a lot, because you can use the same tools and even the same conditions, those same four awful conditions that exist in human beings to actually move someone out of a state of inaction into action, out of a state of pain into pleasure. In other words, you can use this for good, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. But first, I got to ask you a question. Have I earned your like? Have I earned your respect or your endless admiration or just your weird curiosity at this point? If so, do me a favor, pulverize that like button, smash that bell for new notifications when my new videos drop. And I always say new notifications because I don't want you to get the old notifications. There, I didn't misspeak. Really. Also, leave me a comment while you're down there. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you think about this whole weird thing of mass formation psychosis. Is it real to you? Do you think it's all BS? You let me know down below, and let's get on with it. So how do you use all this in copy? Well, I want you to remember a very simple acronym, SARA, S-E-R-A. SARA stands for suggestion, emotion, repetition, and action, S-E-R-A. And I know you've never heard of it before, no matter what you say. I know that for a fact because I invented it this week. Ha ha. Now, I didn't invent those 4 states of psychological persuasion, but I did put them into a specific order and gave them the name Sarah because it's easy for me to remember and it's easy for me to teach you. And these are techniques that I've used for years. And copywriters have been using them for years, but when they are illustrated inside the framework of mass hypnosis, you're going to see how powerful this really is and why it works so well, all right? Now, Sarah usually involves some form of mini storytelling. In other words, it's very hard to do in one sentence. I'm going to give you an example using 2 sentences. It's not a story at all, and it pretty much taps on all 4 of those elements, but it's best used inside of a brief story, like 3 or 4 paragraphs long, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, usually this is going to start off in a form of a question, and it's going to evoke some emotions like fear and confusion. And because, again, we're rationing up that existing anxiety that's already underlying our prospect. Now, that might not be anxiety in a huge world stage nature like I was talking about earlier. We're talking about anxiety around, let's say, weight loss or making money online, things like that. People are anxious around that. They feel things around that could easily fit into all 4 of those characteristics we just covered. That they are indeed, there's a low level anxiety. There's a feeling of distortion. In other words, they don't know what's true. They're very confused. These feelings are very, very real. There is social disconnection. In other words, they're feeling isolated or alone because they feel what they feel. They don't have the friends to help them out through the situation, and they're just confused. So all 4 of those elements are totally there that are the same elements that actually are the basis of mass formation psychosis. Now, if you come in as the authority figure and say, hey, I have an answer, you're going to be the good guy. You're not going to be the bad guy here. You're going to be the good guy and giving them an answer to something that they desperately want out of. And in this case, it's absolutely real. There's absolutely real reasons to have all 4 of those feelings going on inside somebody struggling with anything. So let's start with a super simple example using only 2 sentences, and I'm going to show you how this breaks into the Sarah model. Let's go. I love using Fit Over 40 to get lean and healthy today. You will too after you download your copy today. Now, that may sound like a kind of an odd way of phrasing things, because I mentioned today twice. But again, one of the qualities of Sarah is that R, which is repetition. So I'm going to repeat something today. Well, guess what? Today is not just some word I repeated. Today is a very strong word. It's NLP based. In other words, I want them to take action today. I mentioned that I am using it today, that they can download it today. That's the repetition part. But let's look at the other parts. Let's look at the suggestion. Where's the suggestion? What do you think it is? Well, there's 2 of them, actually. I love using Fit Over 40 to get lean and healthy today. Get lean and healthy today is the suggestion. Where did that come from? Suggestions start usually with verbs. So whenever I use a verb like get, I'm going to follow that with lean and healthy. That's the suggestion. Your subconscious mind is hearing get lean and healthy. Okay? That's pretty cool. So that is the suggestion. After you download your copy today, this is the second suggestion. The emotion is simple. It's the word love. It's one of the strongest words and to me, the strongest word in the emotive vocabulary. I love using Fit Over 40 to get lean and healthy. So love is where you are going with that. And I say you will too. That's presumptive, but that's cool. And check this out. What's the action? Very simple. After you download your copy today. So in 2 sentences, we were able to get Sarah in just like that. So we're tapping into it very slightly. Now let's look at a more detailed example though, because I want to show you how powerful this can be in the light of a few paragraphs of copy to where we're telling a little bit of a story, not a story like, I was once this, that, and the other, but a story about them, a story about their prospect. And I'm going to use the opening part of a sales letter to show you that you can kick Sarah off literally right from the start. Let's have a look right now. Are you a woman over 50 wanting to lose weight? If so, perhaps you're feeling confused, even as we speak. Watching the pounds creep on year after year, feeling alone, even fearful of what will happen without a solution that finally works. Now, I'm leveraging the first 3 conditions of mass formation psychosis right there. Did you catch it? Let's have another look at that sentence right now and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the first condition is the feeling of self-isolation or feeling alone. I literally say, are you feeling alone? Perhaps you're feeling alone. So that's how that taps into the first one. The second state is a state of confusion. So it's very clear that confusion is here because I use the word confused. I'm kind of using these words to make them leap out, but you can use other words. You don't have to use confused and alone to get those feelings across. But this makes it very obvious. Perhaps you're feeling confused, even as we speak. So literally in this very moment, I say, are you feeling confused? And finally, there's that free-floating anxiety, okay? That anxiousness that people will feel. Well, think about that. If I was saying watching pounds creep on year after year, it just feels really anxious even thinking about that, right? What's going to happen if you don't get a solution? Anxiety. So I'm building all 3 of those things right there inside just a few sentences, right? Now that's the first part of it. We haven't got to the other parts of this, and we haven't used Sarah yet, but I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. Now, first I want to give you a really cool subconscious trick that I'm using here. I'm using the subconscious to instill an image in the prospect's head. In this case, wanting women over 50 to lose weight. So that image is going to go in somebody's head, whether they like it or not. And the reason why is simple. It's how the subconscious mind works. Let me give you an example. Let's say I want you to clean your room, and I say, go clean your room. Your subconscious mind is hearing clean your room. That's all. And it's actually hearing the word command, word go on top of that. So go clean your room. That's really good. But what if I was to say the same thing? It sounds the same, but your subconscious mind will never hear it the same. Don't forget to clean your room. What do you think your subconscious mind is hearing? Well, it just heard the command forget, clean your room. That's why you never want to say don't forget to X, because that's exactly what they will be likely to forget. You want to say remember to do Y, or X in this case, so that they remember to do it. That's pretty straightforward. But when I say, have you ever thought about women over 40 losing weight? You're thinking about women over 40 losing weight, whether you like it or not. So your brain is doing more than thinking about it. Your subconscious mind is forming an image about it. And that image is far more powerful than any words you can ever use as a copywriter. Trust me on this. Rely on your prospect's imagination. Okay, let's get on with the training and see how all this works together with Sarah. Let's go. So now that we got the copy set up, you are ready for a suggestion. Remember, we're just setting people up for the suggestion up to this point. And the suggestion is super simple. Here it is. Beginning today, you can lose weight easier than ever before. That is a plain, simple suggestion. No doubt about it, okay? It is placed immediately after the sentences that you just saw. Because what am I doing? I'm setting the state. There has to be a state set. Conditions must be met in order for mass hypnosis to work. So I set the conditions. I'm setting the anxiety. I'm setting the isolation. You see where I'm doing this? Then I lay in the suggestion. The suggestion comes after that. But this is a very good suggestion, right? That is the S in Sarah. That's the suggestion. Now let's look at the E, the emotion. It's already used. I used it in the emotional states of fear, frustration, confusion. You see all of that in that copy. You simply can't speak in logical terms and elicit the same subconscious emotional power as you can using emotive language. Next, we're going to move into the R, the repetition. We have none of that yet, but we're going to get it in a very simple way. And here's how. I'm going to repeat the phrase lose weight or losing weight. I'm not going to change that to weight loss. I'm not going to change it to burn fat. I'm going to purposely repeat it at least once with lose or losing weight so that the brain hears it in a pattern. Now I'm going to show you how all this works out in the final slide, which has the sentences I just constructed plus a few more, and it puts it all together. But first, let's get to the A, and that is the action. What is the call to action? You may be thinking, oh, well, click on the link below to download. That is a call to action. But guess what else is? An open loop. And I use those all the time. In fact, that's the predominant call to action that I use. You're thinking call to action, open loop. That's not a call to action. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Check this out. Watch this video for the next 5 minutes and you'll see what I mean. Well, that's an open loop. That's also a command and a call to action. I'm telling you to do something. Your action is to watch the video for the next 5 minutes. That simple. So how are we going to do it in this particular example? Let's take a look right now. Okay, we have the entire copy on screen. I'm just going to read it verbatim. Are you a woman over 40 wanting to lose weight? If so, perhaps you're feeling confused even as we speak, watching the pounds creep on year after year, feeling alone, even fearful of what will happen without a solution that finally works. Beginning today, you can lose weight easier than ever before. After you watch this video all the way to the end, the days of feeling hopeless when it comes to losing weight will be history. There is a secret to help you lose weight faster, one being used by women over 50 all over the world. This has become a movement, a tribe of women with weight loss success stories, one after the other. It's a story of hope and clarity, putting an end to the fear and confusion once and for all. Now, I'm using this as a copywriting teaching tool, not necessarily copy that I would use on a sales page, but it's close. And I want you to really see every little element because I'm not just using the negativity parts of the 4 formations of psychosis. I'm actually converting them and flipping them to a positive. And that is really powerful. So we've already gone over the first part of this. Are you a woman over 50? Notice how many times I say woman over 50. Okay, I see it at least twice, right? One being used by women over 50 is in the 3rd paragraph. Women over 50, woman over 50, they're hearing that repetitively. Lose weight repetitively. You can easily lose weight. Lose weight faster. It's being used at least 3 times in just 3 paragraphs. So that's very powerful. We've got the emotive states, right? We've got the states of anxiety. We've got the states of feeling isolated and alone. We've already covered that. Now, we've also got the repetition in here now, and we have the action statement, very simply, after you watch this video all the way to the end, the days of feeling hopeless will be over. So in other words, that is the action. Watch this video all the way to the end. And those 3 paragraphs are pretty awesome. But to me, what's even more awesome is the ability to flip all this negativity on its head. Look at the last paragraph. There is a secret to help you lose weight faster, repetition. One being used by women over 50, repetition. All over the world. All over the world. We're getting into what? Collective consciousness now. We're getting into a positive consciousness. We're getting away from isolation. This has become a movement, a tribe of women with weight loss success stories, one after the other, weight loss repeated, one after the other, success stories, a tribe, a family. It's the exact opposite of the first few conditions of mass hypnosis. There's no self-isolation, atomization. There's none of that, right? There's no confusion here. This is a system, a secret, a movement. This is working. So what are we doing? We're whittling away. We're making someone become unhypnotized into your new hypnosis. It's kind of trippy. It's kind of meta. But we're also doing the world a service here. And we can use this for all sorts of different really cool tools. Then it's just a question of repetition, which you've already seen, and a call to action. So there you go. Sarah in action, and hopefully something that's going to help change the world for the better. So if you like this video, I got a super simple one coming up next. Gain, logic, fear. It's the trifecta email, man, that will help you sell more than probably any email combination I can think of. We're going to break it down and give you the exact emails as well and the formula. And until then, I want you to do me one more favor. Look below. Like, share, sub, and smash that bell for notifications when my new videos drop. I'm John Benson, and I'm here, as always, to help make you unignorable.